Are we watching? Are we listening? Great. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Uncivil Law, where we learn through the misfortunes of others. This unexpected stream is just because I'm in a good mood. And I wanted to share being in a good mood with you because I like being in a good mood. I share when I'm not in a good mood, which happens many times, but today I'm in a good mood. Not sure why. Could be the workout I had, could be the steak I had, could be many things, but I'm in a good mood and want to share it with you. And I thought one of the ways to do that was by doing a little response to YouTube comments. So from time to time, I like to just kind of scroll through the YouTube comments and see what you guys are saying and respond to what you're saying. One of the ways I like to give back to the channel. Try to respond to your YouTube comments in live chat, of course. And every once in a while, I like to go in through and respond to comments in the video. So this is all comments on all videos in order, and we will just respond to some of them and see what we've got. Okay, yeah. In response to the contract bullshit, once you give a break to someone who owes you money, you can't go back and demand payment for it. You can ask, but you can't sue for it or attempt to force it. You might be able to. It could be viewed as a waiver. So it gets complicated. Does the fact you say you don't have to give me money prevent you from suing? Maybe, but yeah. It's like if you gave a friend a hamburger free, then sue them for eating it. Being unwilling to replace is not going to give a fly. Well, in that particular situation, you don't have a contract. You're just giving a gift. So that's slightly different, but okay. And central law versus high tree. Promissory estoppel. Promissory estoppel is not a theory in contract, strictly speaking. It's a theory in equity. But I do appreciate you adding to the mix. That's all fun and exciting. Let's see what else we've got going on today. Let's see. I need to open a new window here real fast so I can see what I'm doing, because I can't for some reason see your live comments. That's not good. Normally I can when I'm doing this, and it's not showing up for me right now. No problem. I'll just open it in a different tab. Fantastic. Great. Moving on. Let's see. You're making gains with each workout. Thank you. I've been enjoying the gym. Had problems getting access to equipment again today. Those cable machines, man. Apparently they're super duper popular. So I was able to do my tricep pull downs, but wasn't able to do my cable pull or cable push or whatever it would be. So, but had some good workouts today. Sandra said I did a great video. I thought it worked out well. The contract bullshit I thought was fun. Not very popular video on my channel, which I'm not sure what that's due to, but could be bad title, could be bad thumbnail, but hopefully it'll get a little bit more reaction. Congrats on the good work. Thank you very much for the positive support for my workouts. Way to go, bro. Thank you. Contract. This was hilariously great. Loved it. I did actually respond to someone in one of the in the comment already. Apparently I got the holding wrong, or holding backwards in the chickens for cooking case. Apparently the court said any chickens will do, so I got the holding backwards, but well, you do what you can. Get some. Let's see. In response to the Trump indictment, let me ask you this. Do you think what Trump did is worse than Hillary Clinton did, considering that Trump has the ultimate power to declassify anything? He had. Whether or not he did is a problem. Right? Just because you can do something doesn't mean that you did do something when you have the ability to do the thing. So, yeah. I don't know what a good analogy would be. It'd be like saying I owned my house, so I was able to mow the yard. And now I sold the house. And I was like, I could have mowed the yard, but did I mow the yard when I owned the house? I don't know if that analogy works, but whatever. I know you think the January 6th was an actual insurrection, even though people on one side of the Capitol agitating and fighting with the cops that looked to be agitated by state actors and one person known to be a part of BLM. Well, there are different people inducing their behavior, to be sure, but people are responsible for their own conduct. I'm not sure I've ever described it as an insurrection. I've described it as a riot, which I think is a pretty apt description on the whole. It is a civil unrest, so you can use your own nomenclature on that one, I guess. but I've typically used the phrase riot, not insurrection. Then you have the other side of the Capitol where police moved barriers and opened doors, and most of those people were just there to protest and did nothing more. They're being politically prosecuted. I can't speak to those people. I can't speak to the people who were let in by the police. In our personal review of the 50 or so cases that we looked at, we didn't have that fact pattern. So it may be true that some of the people were let in by police. And as to them, they may have valid defenses. It didn't come up in any of the cases that we reviewed, but it may very well come up in some other person's case. So as to some of their behavior. But just because it's true of someone else doesn't mean it was true of you, right? Just because someone else had the barrier open and they were let into the Capitol doesn't mean that that was true of you, depending on where you were and what you were, right? So we have to look at everything fact specific. And you have to look at it person by person and their perspectives, and the facts change a little bit from person to person. They're being politically prosecuted. It depends on your point of view. People outside telling people to be calm and not riot were charged or pled to lesser because of the threat of what they were looking at. Can't speak to that issue. Not particularly aware of what you're talking about. So I can't speak to that issue. You say these people on January 6th were so bad, but look more like a setup by a certain side that's also politically charged there people that day. Well, people are responsible for their own behavior. To the extent that if people are conducting themselves illegally, they're the ones that make the decision. These are the same people charging Trump. I don't think that's true. And it's purely political and everyone knows it. And okay. It's all a big game the Democrats play with citizens' lives, all for the sake of power. Trump offered extra security that day and was denied by Pelosi, who seemed to want something to come of it. Not sure about that particular claim. It's also irrelevant. Whether there was security there or not is irrelevant. It is still people's own behavior. There could be literally not a cop in sight and it wouldn't make a difference. There could be all the cops there, it wouldn't make a difference. It's people are responsible for their own behavior. Amazing. All this is political. I hope somehow Trump makes it back in and cleans all the shit up. Trump has been investigated for 7 years now. This is the best they got. As to that much, I agree. Most of the charges have been totally bullshit up to this point, and I've said so pretty much every single occasion where it's come up. If they charge Trump while letting Clinton go for destroying evidence and having classified docs on a private server that was hacked, then we no longer have a constitutional republic. It's now been a republic at best. There are ways to differentiate between Clinton and Trump, whether or not you think those differentiations are wise or prudent, but you could make a difference between the two. But you could obviously say that, obviously they're not the same. They're not literally one for one. So it becomes a question of how close they are in sort of their comparison. So you could choose to say that they're different, or you could choose to say they're the same. I suppose it depends what kind of filter you're looking through. But regardless of the issue, Trump's in trouble. This is definitely the best they've got. The decision to charge him is probably political, at least partially in nature. That's somewhat unavoidable. Prosecution decisions are at least slightly political in nature because the people that do them are political actors. The U.S. attorney or the attorney general or your local prosecutor. There is a political element to the decision to prosecute. So there is some political in it, and then the question of how much political, I suppose, is in the interest of the nature of what you think is going on. Have I not seen the CCTV footage from the Capitol? I've seen some of it. I haven't seen all of it. There's a lot of it, but I've certainly seen some footage that shows what appears to be cops allowing some people to come in through various barriers. I've certainly seen some things, but I haven't seen everything. And I don't think anyone has outside of Congress. I don't know anyone's seen everything, but it's a lot of tape. So, but anyways, Sandra said, "Way to go on my post for my workout." Thank you very much, Sandra, for your continuing support. Yesterday, the cop wearing a full face covering because he was scared. So this cop was too scared to show his face, but thinks Pearson, armed with a handgun, should pursue a armed shooter with a rifle. Interesting point. I'm not sure how valid it is, but noted. for whatever value it has. Wonder how they can charge him with a crime for doing nothing when the parents can't sue him for doing anything. Civil and criminal liability are different under different regulations. Civil liability is Castle Rock versus Gonzalez, right? Basically, no affirmative duty is the typical thing. And that's specified by case law, but this is criminal. So that doesn't apply. His liability as a caregiver is questionable. And the Shelley says, then we'll see real civil unrest. Perhaps we will. That I mean, I can't speak to how people will choose to react to various things, but I'm just here to give information as best as I can. If people choose to engage in a civilly unrest way, that's on them. And they're responsible for their own actions and are accountable for their own actions. I certainly don't encourage anyone to behave in an unlawful way. If you want to protest lawfully, then knock yourself out. If you want to speak up against it, knock yourself out. If you want to demonstrate in an unlawful way, knock yourself out. But I'll never condone people engaging in illegal behavior. If you choose to engage in legal behavior, then, you may very well suffer the legal consequences. So hope it's worth it, I guess, is all I can say to that. All right, I guess. Do I still believe in the governmental system? Yes, on the whole, I do. Especially compared to other governmental systems, especially compared throughout history. I think the United States governmental system is a great governmental system. Compared to the other options that are available in the world, both now and presently, yeah, the United States system is looking pretty good to me. Your volume was way too low. Yeah. Can't hear anything at volume max. You turn your volume down if you like that volume. Yeah, court volume is a pain in the ass. WSVN has video feed and it's 80 decibels louder. We've experimented with WSVN's video feed. It hasn't proven to be reliable in terms of audio, but we'll try again maybe on Thursday and see what they can do in terms of the audio filter. Am I familiar with the quote, "The tigers of wrath are wiser than the horses of instruction"? I don't know what that means, so I guess not. Brian asks, $4.99 super chat, how's the classified nature of the evidence in Trump case going to be handled? How can they prove it beyond a reasonable doubt there's red tape? Well, they have to make the decision to present the evidence to the jury. So that's part of the decision, because the defense is obviously entitled to see the information because it's being used against them. So they have made a decision that the information is able to be exposed, and it might have some redactions in there for specific names and specific things, but the jury is going to get to see the documents because they're part of the evidence. So exactly what they get to see and what they don't get to see will be fought over, but they'll principally get to see the documents because they're part of the evidentiary package. So that's one of the reasons, incidentally, that the Department of Justice is somewhat disinclined to bring these kinds of cases in the first place, because they have to expose the secrets. So, they try to compartmentalize that as good as they can, right? They're only going to give the documents to the jury while they're deliberating. They're obviously going to get all those documents back. They're not going to let them keep copies and stuff. The jurors aren't going to have cell phones and stuff on them and stuff like that. So they'll try to deal with it in some ways. But, and it's also part of the vetting process. But yeah, there were documents that were seized that were not in the indictment, presumably for exactly that reason. So, good times. He should return the boxes. I wonder if looking back, he regrets it. At this point, can he work something out with the feds? Sure. He can probably work something out with the feds. I don't know what they would take at this point. But if he were willing to plead guilty, yeah, I think they could knock it down pretty far. I can't speak for the federal government, but I think that they'd probably be inclined to plead to like one count of the, Espionage Act relating to the possession of the documents, maybe one count of obstruction, and possibly some even suspended sentence. I can't speak to the Department of Justice and what they would or would not do, but yeah, they might be willing to strike a deal. For him to, they probably force him to allocute, which is basically stand up in open court and admit to everything. I doubt that's going to happen, but yeah, they might. I don't know. Are there fed courthouses with skiffs? Probably not, although a portable one could be created. When the president travels, sometimes they have a portable skiff and tents and stuff, so they'll figure it out. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they'll figure it out. They'll figure out the protocol to make it work. We'll create one. In response to What is a Woman, someone said, I try to treat everyone with compassion. I watched this documentary, enjoyed and agree with a lot of it. I'm reading Elliot Page's memoir, Page Boy, and his description of confusion and pain is definitely the other side. He's found a great deal of happiness in transitioning, but he's a person with severe mental illness, especially anxiety. These have not been treated satisfactorily, in my humble opinion. People need to address themselves in their entirety. Someone shouldn't be transitioning with a clear, active mental plan in place before and after. Fair. Question: if you or president want to be reelected, gets a photo taken of you while you're talking to someone, they say you did something. How can you prove you don't know them? Well, you would point out probably as such a person that you get your photo taken with lots of people and you don't necessarily know them. And, that no one that you know knows them, basically. That's the way you prove it, I guess. Um, what happened to Uvalde cowards? As far as I know, that's still pending. We'll see how that all develops. Eve, I disagree. I believe a president can pardon themselves. The Constitution says the president has the power to pardon. It doesn't provide any qualifications. I believe the president can pardon himself, but that's my view of the thing. Other people disagree, but that's my view. That, of course, if it's true, would not be just for Trump, of course. It would be true for Biden as well. Because whoever's president is president, and they have the power to pardon, so it would be true universally. None of them. You should have put more options. YouTube limits me to 4 options in a poll. I'm not sure if you knew that. I'm only allowed 4 options, so yeah. We picked 4. Lots of contributions from people in the language poll. In response to the student being disciplined by the school for alleged hate speech, I don't think the school wins in this case, but I seem to remember during my high school days, some extracurricular clubs had certain restrictions on how you behaved off campus as well. For example, not getting illegal trouble or not doing anything offensive as the Instagram post. There will be something we agreed to as a prerequisite for joining the club. Assuming hypothetically the student council has such a role, student agreed to it, would it then be enforceable? I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember in the BL case how that came down. I don't think the language in the agreement was specific enough. I don't know fully the answer to that question. I have to delve into it deeper. It's a good question though. I'm not sure it's necessarily legal though, because in this situation, what you're giving up is your First Amendment rights. And there's this concept called unconstitutional conditions when it comes to the when it comes to the federal government or any government for that matter. Basically, there is the ability of the government to contract with you in order for you to give up your First Amendment rights is somewhat limited, as opposed to a private employer, right? So, like, the government can't force you to fully give up your First Amendment rights. So, I don't know. I don't think the case spoke to it. And depending on the details, it might be an unconstitutional condition. I don't know. The government may or may not be able to require that as a condition of you agreeing to a club activity because it's still a school activity. And so it's the government doing it. So it's like, oh, you don't have to join the student council. You know, if you want to, you have to give up your First Amendment. Yeah, I'm not sure that that's legal. Eve says, you don't have to see it. It's conceptually invalid then because he'd be a king. Well, no, he wouldn't be a king. He would have a particular power that would be, as we say, plenary, which is to say it's an unchecked power. He isn't a king because he doesn't have the powers of a king. He would have a particular plenary power. Okay. And also, for that matter, the king obviously can pardon themselves, so I'm not sure what your point is. But the president tried. He have to make the case himself based on what? Faulty logic? No, his lawyers would make it for him. And the argument for it is pretty easy. The Constitution is unqualified in its language. The Constitution just means what it says. The power of the pardon is the power to pardon for any federal crime. Period. End of analysis. It's the people who say he doesn't have the power that have the harder job. I have plain text. If convicted, can Trump identify as a woman and be sent to a female prison and bring Secret Service agents? I don't know. Not sure about that one. It'd be a good short debate. Well, I mean, I have plain language of the text. Should we pull it up together? Hold on. If I do this, what happens? Oh, good. My camera's still working. Let's see. Let's pull it up. Article 2. What does it say? Do 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 do. Do 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 do. There it is. Okay, so let's pull it up. Nope. 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 Yeah, there, okay. So we're in Article 2, Section 2. The president shall be commander-in-chief of the Army and Navies of the United States and of the militia of the several states. When called into actual service of the United States, he may require the opinion in writing of the principal officers of each of the executive departments upon any subject relating to duties of the respective offices, and he shall have the pardon to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in cases of impeachment. That's the end of the debate. There is no more debate. He shall have the pardon to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States. Is it an offense against the United States? Yes. Okay. End of analysis. Oh, easy debate, I guess. Great. Moving back forward to it. If Biden is successfully impeached and convicted in the Senate, he cannot pardon himself. That's correct. Well, for two reasons. First of all, at that point, he is no longer president. Second of all, yes, he can't pardon himself out of being impeached because that's a political remedy, not a legal remedy. So, yes, the power to pardon extends to legal, not political. So, yeah, fair enough. Just imagine what would be found if all politicians were under the same scrutiny as Trump. Fair point. Fair point. There's a case of the 7th grader who wore a t-shirt to school and said there are two genders, male and female. The court went to school and the child wanted an injunction. Yeah, I saw that. Could I please review the case? Students suing the school. Yeah, the student's going to win in the end. I can't imagine they're not going to win in the end. So yeah, that's some bullshit. I can't believe the court granted the injunction. That was some bullshit. But judges make mistakes too. Thank you for the 161 of you joining us. Yeah. I think the omission can be avoided like this. Trump believed he needed to formally declassify or declassify. He wanted to, but never got around to it. He didn't know the very act of carrying out declassified. Yeah, no, I don't think the very act of carrying it out declassifies it because it doesn't make logical sense. Because the president moves papers around all the time. As you would expect, the president flies overseas and probably has classified materials in his briefcase. So the president is visiting Japan and he's staying in some hotel somewhere and he has classified materials in his briefcase and he brings them out and he's looking at them in his hotel room. And maybe he leaves his briefcase in the room when he's doing whatever. Do you think the documents are suddenly declassified just because he took them with him on a trip? I don't think so. I don't think that works. He could give himself a blanket pardon for all federal crimes as soon as the impeachment started. Yes, he can. It just doesn't get him out of the impeachment. Because impeachment is political, not legal. So, as far as I'm concerned, also, as long as we're on the subject, Congress has plenary power to pardon. They have absolute power to pardon. So, like the president has plenary power to pardon, the Congress has plenary power to impeach and convict. They can't be wrong. The House can impeach for any reason, and the Senate can convict. Then they can't be wrong. So, yeah. Or at least no one can challenge their judgment, I suppose, is a better way to put it. Maybe they can be wrong. It's just there's nothing anyone can do about it. I suppose except vote them out of office, so the remedies themselves are political, but that's a little bit past the point. I think they can impeach him for literally anything. So they can use anything they want against him as far as I'm concerned. They can impeach him because they don't like his tie. Does pardon cover civil issues? No, it would only extend to criminal liability. Yeah, it would only extend to criminal liability because it would have to by its nature, because it's offenses against the United States. So if someone else has a civil claim, it's not an offense against the United States; it's an offense against someone else. So yeah. States here, most scholars know cannot pardon someone itself has created a constitutional crisis. I don't see it. I don't think it creates a constitutional crisis at all. It doesn't create a constitutional crisis. I don't see it. No. The Congress can still impeach him and throw him out of office. I don't think it creates a constitutional crisis, so I disagree. Isn't there more ambiguity to the phrase high crimes and misdemeanors? It doesn't matter. I'll show you why it doesn't matter. We can learn things. Okay. Here's why it doesn't matter. Back to the Constitution, right? The Constitution is always our guide, right? So we start with the House of Representatives, right? Article 1. Section 2. Last line. The House of Representatives shall choose their speaker and other officers, and shall have the sole power of impeachment. The sole power of impeachment. Well, what does sole mean? Sole means sole. They're it. End of analysis, right? They are it. They have the sole power to impeach. Okay. What does sole mean? That means they're God, right? And then you go to the Senate, and it says, the Senate shall have the sole power to trial impeachments. Well, that's easy. That's easy. All right. So what does high crimes and misdemeanors mean? Whatever they want it to mean. Because how do you decide if something's a high crime or misdemeanor? Well, you ask the people who have the power. Who has the power? The House and Senate. Whatever they say it is. They can't be wrong. Great. Moving on. Defense Department of Office Legal Counsel opinion, August 5th, 1974. No one may be their own judge. I disagree with the Office of Legal Counsel. I think the Office of Legal Counsel is wrong. Also, strictly speaking, they aren't being their own judge. It's a political power. Or maybe they are being their own judge. Is it an executive power or is it a judicial power? I guess that's is that an interesting philosophical question? Does the president's power to pardon, is that power specifically an executive power or is that a judicial power? That's interesting. I mean, it's held by the president, but does that necessarily make it an executive power? So are we quibbling on whether or not the power to pardon is a judicial power or not? That's a pretty sophisticated argument. But I still think the language is clear on its own terms, so I'm moving past the issue. Yeah, right. A. Hedinger, as far as I'm concerned, they can write the impeachment on a back of napkin, bring it, and the Chief Justice Senators can vote immediately. Yep. Correct. Correct. You are correct, sir. I'm not even sure, strictly speaking, the napkin is required. But yeah, that works for me. I've often wondered if you could like do it during the State of the Union, because you have both the House and Senate in the same place. Like if they all be like, surprise impeachment. Surprise impeachment. Can they just do it like instantaneously since they're all there at the same time? Yeah, well, okay. It's another thing for another day. Questions I've thought about before. Thank you, Eve. It is a good idea to review the comments. I do like to engage with the chat from time to time and things like that. Yeah. Yeah. Keep kissing ass. Thank you very much. Where the documents are described as having black markings, where they cover up classified markings, may well be. Oh dear. I followed the Parkland tragedy from the start, including the penalty phase of the gunmen. I totally disagree with the sentence this case I'm struggling with. I know people have been hurt and lost their lives. Still not sure the man should be on trial now. As a teacher in Florida, we've changed how we react to all codes. Fires, hazards, lockdown. People have taken this tragedy and made valuable changes that may prevent more loss. Fair. Nice stuff. We just had a kid who wasn't allowed to walk his graduation because he went off script and said there was only 2 genders during a pep rally speech. That's pretty funny. And they want to deny him the ability to graduate because of his speech. Oof. Viewpoint discrimination, man. Viewpoint discrimination. Would the school have let him said there were more than two genders? So we can't say there are two genders? Viewpoint discrimination, man. I don't know. Not sure how important being able to walk at graduation is, but you know you've earned it. So it's a First Amendment interest. So go forth, my friend, sue somebody. Trump stopped at a Cuban restaurant afterward, took a picture, and paid for everyone's meal, and CNN cut the feed saying it was turning into a photo op. Okay. Yeah, if the school would let him say there are more than two genders at the prep rally, which I imagine they would, saying there are only two genders is viewpoint discrimination, which might be per se unconstitutional. If you read the flag burning case that way, there's language in the flag burning case that suggests that viewpoint discrimination might be per se unconstitutional, which would mean it would never be permissible. So that's interesting. I just worked on an AI project for application process. Anyone that fails to qualify is manually reviewed just in case. My biggest concern is the actual consent rules, which are causing a minor issue. There have been individuals who want to hire, but at some point in the process, they clicked on do not contact. Thus, we cannot contact them to offer a position. I'm not exactly sure that was the intent behind them clicking it. I think they meant more in the spirit of like, automated or pointless calls. I don't think they applied for a job and then click do not contact because they don't want to be contacted if you're offering them employment. That seems very contradictory. So that seems like a strange way to parse that, but okay. If they clicked it before the interview and they show up to the interview, we can ask them if they don't want to be contacted. I wouldn't be surprised if individuals checked the box because they thought they were opting out of emails. If they read the text there, it would seem that's not the case. That doesn't make any sense. Why would someone apply for a job and click a box that says, I don't want to be contacted? That doesn't make any sense. Why would you ever interpret it that way? That's a really stupid way of interpreting it. We've talked to legal. They said it was necessary to comply with the various state laws. The best we can do is put a warning in the candidate's account. Their settings prevent all communications by phone, text, and email. We can post notifications, communications in the account, though. We do eventually expire offers. That seems really stupid. That seems incredibly stupid. It seems like legal has a bug up their ass. Why would anyone apply for a job and click a box that says, I don't want to be contacted, even if what you're doing is offering me the job? Surely there's a way to fix the language. This seems really dumb. You have stories about this? Scuba and snowboarding are not extreme sports. I don't know. Scuba's pretty extreme. You can kill yourself pretty easily if you're not careful. Snowboarding, I'll let you debate. Thank you, by the way, for everyone who's been so encouraging me in my fitness journey. If I become Swole Law, that's the dream. That's the dream. The dream is changing the channel name from Uncivil Law to Swole Law. Get your law and get your gains. We'll do legal analysis and protein shakes as we do bicep curls. Name change of the channel in the future. It's been fun being Uncivil Law, but Swole Law is coming to you Soon. I'm sad to think Trump has no defense. Well, I didn't exactly say he had no defense. I just didn't really see any of them really working. He has defenses. I can think of defenses. They just don't really go anywhere. Dershowitz says differently. Dershowitz is a bit of a hack these days. In my opinion, it's election interference. No. Also, in my opinion, when I read and I ramped Trump's EOs and things it appears they put in place when they're in continuing government right now. Well, who am I? I'm nobody. Someone loves to read our laws and orders the Constitution. Trump has followed our Constitution and our laws and orders to a T. No. As the Democrats are using the police state, it's disgusting. It's all being shown to the American people just how corrupt our judicial and executive branches. Yeah, none of the defenses seem like they're going to work. I can think of defenses, they're just not going to work. Like, they can try to attack the search warrant, but it won't work. They can try to attack unequal treatment, equal protection, but it won't work. They can try to attack the grand jury, but I seriously doubt that will work. You know, some sort of problems in the grand jury. There was rumors of some improper incentive being offered to one of the prosecutors, like a judgeship or something. But I have massive doubts that will work. What else? The attorney-client privilege might work. It just won't get him anywhere. He might win the attorney-client privilege. It just won't work in the end. It won't get him where he needs to be. What else defenses does he have? There's some technical factual defenses, but they don't work. Yeah, none of the defenses work. So I've kind of like sketched them in my mind. I'm like, nothing works. It's not going well. Yeah. Alan Dershowitz used to be pretty good, but he became a bit of a hack. Also, what's his name from Harvard? I can't remember his name right now, but he's become a bit of a hack recently. Yeah, he might win the attorney-client privilege thing. It just doesn't get him where he wants to be. The judge would have to overrule the previous judge's decision, which is unlikely. And even if she does, it doesn't get him to where he wants to be. So, yeah, okay. Anyway. You didn't give me part of your snack, but you gave it to someone else who caused me deep emotional harm at lunchtime. Bullying. Shared in all the platforms you follow. Thank you very much. Yeah. Enjoy the crazy polls. The polls have been fun. People seem to enjoy the polls. They're getting lots of nice votes, lots of engagement. The polls seem to be pretty popular. If I can just remember to post them every day, that'd be great. As someone who lives atop a mountain, don't. Takes an hour to get to the nearest town, another hour to get somewhere, anything to do. Peaceful but boring. Fair. You please add a join button to your profile and streams to make it easier to become a member. Really? Lawrence Lessing? No, Lawrence Lessing was the one who I was thinking of. Hold on. Tribe. Lawrence Tribe was who I was thinking of. He's become a bit of a hack in his later years too. A lot of people become hacks, I guess. Sometimes. Okay, back to the thing. Um, Kurt, I came here to thank and renew my membership. Thank you. A few thoughts. Everyone must stop politicizing the country's national security. Not only does the indictment disclose nefarious actions and behavior, but one has to seriously question his mental health, and Wells to say otherwise simply false. I'm not sure, strictly speaking, it's a mental health problem. The man just has massive impulse control issues, which I'm not really sure is a mental health problem. Maybe it is though, but okay. Presidential records automatically transfer legal custody of the archivist as soon as the president leaves office. According to the Atomic Energy Act of 1954, nuclear information is inherently secret and cannot be declassified by anyone ever, including Trump. I'm not sure that that is constitutional. Navy versus Egan seems to suggest it's not constitutional. I know Nate the lawyer is of the same opinion of you. He's of the opinion the Atomic Energy Act precludes the president from declassifying certain things. I'm not so sure that's true. I'm not sure that the restrictions are constitutional. And Navy versus Egan is some support of that proposition. So, yeah. He never had authority to classify the ones who are bragging about on tape. I'm not sure if that's true. I'm not sure if those are in that category or not. Also, Trump's security clearance was revoked immediately when his term expired, which is rare. Most importantly, the government and people own the documents, not the president, not Trump, not the former president. They're only custody of the documents while in office, not after. True enough. Yeah, they belong to the government. They belong to the office of the president, not the man. Yeah. A president is a top paid public servant in the United States with a 4-year term, publicly elected. It's sad our country allows a felon to hold office. If that's said, a person is innocent until proven guilty by a court of law. Judge Cannon was appointed by Trump, previously overturned twice, and harshly criticized by the 11th Circuit, which is rare. Well, I'm not so sure how rare that part is. I mean, judges are overturned. And I thought the judge's rationale for their decision made sense. And the Court of Appeals decision made sense, although the Court of Appeals was less charitable to the judge than I was, but there was a certain logic to her position. So, I'm not sure how rare it is to be overturned, but okay. He had nuclear and military TS and above documents in his possession, which is unacceptable. Also, most of the classified documents referred to by former president, etc., tend to be personal documents and communications, not nuclear and military secrets of our countries and allies. With this, I'm no fan of HC and a huge critic of how she handled her info in politics. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. And saying I'd be a terrific judge. Thank you. I like to think I've been a terrific judge as well. Yeah. I thought the 11th Circuit was a little unduly harsh in their opinion, reversing. I thought the judge's rationales were understandable, and the 11th Circuit was a little harsh in their rebuke. But that was just me. Yeah, even if he can declassify the nukes, he still has to. You're exactly right. So even assuming I'm right, it's a bit of a moot point, right? As we've been discussing. So even assuming I'm right, and the Atomic Energy Act of 1954 in this respect is unconstitutional, and Trump does in fact have the power to declassify, it doesn't matter if he doesn't. It's like being commander-in-chief. Just because you are commander-in-chief doesn't mean that you're giving orders, right? If you're not giving orders, then what difference does it make? In some respect. Oh, yes, I have the ability to order our army. You sure do. I can order them to take that hill. You are correct, sir. Until you give the order, what's the point? Is there a giveaway in our future? There may well be. If we hit 1,000 people live streaming, I'm planning on giving away 100 memberships. So that'd be great. Excuse me. I want a farmhouse near the beach. What's the order with regards to declassification? Whatever. It just has to be something. It has to just happen. It just has to happen. It just has to occur. Right? It's like, it's like it's a little bit like saying, what is the order in respect to being commander in chief? I don't know. What is it? Did president shout it? Did the president shout it at a guy on a battlefield? Did he pick up a phone? Did he write a letter? Did he whisper it in a soldier's ear? Did he use some semaphore or some smoke signals? Did he send an email ordering someone to do something? It's like it's like a little bit like saying, what is the order? I don't know. How's the president give the order? I don't know. He has to do it. How's president give an order to the military? There's probably a lot. I mean, I assume the typical way is that you either tell the chief of staff or the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, go do X, but that's not necessarily the only way you could do it. There's lots of ways for the president to give an order. So how does he give an order? I don't know, but he still has to do it. So how did he do it? So the president of the United States can declassify information. Okay, but how did he actually do that? How did he declassify it? What did he do to declassify it? What did he do? And the only thing that people have been able to argue so far is moving the documents to his home. And I'm like, no, that doesn't work. Because if it did work, it would imply these other things, and that's obviously not true. So, yeah. So that doesn't work. What else you got? Right? So that, yeah, okay. So, you tell me what he did, I guess. I'll let you know if that works. If there's no requirement, how can it be assumed it didn't happen? You have to prove it has to happen. I don't understand your question. Your question doesn't make any sense. The government can prove that they were classified in the first instance. We'll take that as a given. Given that they can prove that they're classified. Okay, if they're classified, then they have to be declassified. Okay, how did that happen? What is the evidence of declassification? You understand, this is a trial, right? We need evidence. The government can provide evidence of classification. All right, what's the evidence of declassification? What do you got? So you don't have anything. So what do you want? The government's like, well, they were marked classified and properly classified, and the response is what? So it doesn't work. He did it in his mind. You can't do it in your mind. That doesn't make sense. That's confusing mens rea with actus reus. You can't just do it in your mind. That's confusing intent with act. You can't just do it in your mind. You have to actually take an action. In the same way for criminality, you have to take an action. You can't just commit a crime in your mind. You can't declassify in your mind. That doesn't make any sense. Also, Trump's on tape saying that he didn't do it in his mind. He's saying that he never declassified them. So that really shoots that in the hole. Yeah. If Trump declassifies, does the current president have authority to reclassify? It's been a while. I think the answer is yes, but don't hold me to that. I'm not sure how classification of material that's already declassified works. I think the answer is yes, but don't hold me to it. I suppose Trump could get on the stand and testify, because if he did it in his own mind, how is anyone supposed to know that? There's another question. Let's assume Trump can do it in his own mind. Let's assume that Trump can do it in his own mind. Okay, what's the evidence that he did do it in his own mind? Assuming the premise that Trump can just think it, what evidence is there that that occurred? And so what, Trump's going to get on the stand and say, yes, I thought they were declassified. I thought them into declassification. Even assuming that he can make that argument, By being on the stand, he's now open to cross-examination, and you know how well that's going to go, right? So even assuming that he can do it in his own mind, he would literally be the only one who could possibly testify to it, because no one else could possibly know the contents of his own mind but him. So I guess he has to take the stand and say, yes, I thought them in declassification status. That should go over super well. I look forward to that part of the trial. So I don't think he can just think them into existence. And assuming he can, what evidence is there other than him saying that he thought it? In which case he's testifying, and now we're into the worst cross-examination ever. So yeah. Yeah, I burden of proof is on the prosecution. Yes, but there has to be evidence. They can make the case it's classified. The government can make the case is classified. What evidence is there of declassification? You need evidence, you understand, in a court. You need evidence. What evidence is there of declassification? What do you got? The government can make its prima facie case. The governments were properly classified. They're marked classified. What's the evidence that that's not correct? Yeah. Do you understand how evidence works? The evidence says he acted by retaining it. No, I've already pointed out that doesn't work. The act of retaining them cannot be enough. It doesn't make sense. The president moves documents around all over the time. The act of moving them cannot be enough legally. It doesn't make sense for it to. It can't be the case that the president moving the documents around makes them declassified. That doesn't make any sense. Presidents move documents around all the time. It doesn't make them magically declassified. That doesn't make sense. If they existed while he was president and he says he declassified them, it's done. He doesn't have to do anything. Okay, but how do you know he said it? How do you know Trump said that they're declassified? When is he said they're declassified? If you're saying he said it while he was president, that'd be great. Did someone overhear it? That'd be fantastic. They could testify to him that they overheard it. That'd be great. If someone overheard him say that these documents are declassified, that'd be great. If he's saying now that they're declassified, well, he doesn't have the power now. What is the evidence that he did it at the time while he still had power? And even if you assume that him saying it now is evidence that he did it then, he has to testify to that. So even if him saying now that I did it then, and that counts, that isn't evidence until he testifies about it. So Trump hasn't said anything yet, because Trump hasn't provided testimony yet. So if you're saying that Trump now is saying, yes, I declassified it in my own mind at the time, that's not evidence that can be used in court until he testifies to it under oath. Because him saying it now is hearsay. It's an out of court statement offered for the truth of the matter asserted. So he would have to testify about it in court. I think a lot of you guys are pulling at straws on this one. I think some of you guys are just unwilling to accept the realities here. Kurt, have you seen zero evidence that he even committed a crime? No, I have seen evidence he committed a crime. You are incorrect. I saw the photographs in the indictment. And also, yeah, so I saw the photographs in the indictment. I saw evidence he committed a crime. You are incorrect. Nope. 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 Some of you guys are just desperate. Maybe I'll be proven wrong in the end. But, well, that's my best legal analysis. My best legal analysis is nothing works. How do I see this playing out? I honestly don't know how I see it playing out. I don't think he'll be able to buy enough time. The presidential election is too far away. He won't be able to buy himself enough time. I think he's going to get convicted, and then I'm not sure what happens next. I don't know what happens next. So my assumption is he'll get convicted, and then I don't know what happens next. So, yeah. The whole thing is pretty sad, yes. Do I think the trial will be televised? Almost certainly not. Federal trials are not televised. I'm not sure they're allowed to be televised under rules, but no, federal trials are not televised. What kind of penalty will he get? I don't know. I don't believe any of the charges have a minimum penalty. So I don't know what the guidelines would be for such an offense. I imagine they'd be fairly high. I don't know what happens next. Assuming that he is to serve time, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means prison, and how would you do that technically? Maybe home confinement at Mar-a-Lago. It's like, we'll just say your prison is Mar-a-Lago. Is that work? I don't know what happens next. We're in a whole new world of pain trying to figure this one out. I don't know how that works with the Secret Service. I don't know how that works on a whole number of levels. That is way past my expertise. Yeah. So maybe the judge gives no time? I don't know. Yeah. This is way out. This is going to be, yeah, if he gets convicted, that's going to be a really complicated nightmare. If I'm the judge and he's convicted, I'll be like my prosecutor. So I'll go to the U.S. attorney and be like, okay, so now what do you want me to do? Now what do you want me to do? You know? We're in whole uncharted territory, right? Yeah, as far as home confinements go, he could do worse. It is a lot of space. But yeah, maybe it's confinement for the rest of your life and you can't leave Mar-a-Lago. I don't know. I guess it's a prison by any other name. Yeah. Who's the judge? It's a Trump appointee. It's a woman, Trump appointee. I forget what her name is. But we're a lot of steps away from that right now. Why is Valet being charged for saying I don't know? Because he knew. He lied. I don't know is a lie. And they can prove it. Do I think there could be a settlement? Yeah. I don't know what a settlement would look like here. I don't know what it would look like here. Maybe dropping everything except one count of the possession of the documents. Dropping the obstruction charge. But it would have to be with an allocution, I would imagine. Trump's never going to allocute. Allocution is just basically where you stand up in open court and you just openly admit to everything. You basically walk through the crime. And the state gets to ask you questions under oath. You know, why'd you do it? What was your motive? How'd you go about it? So forth and so on. I can't imagine that they do it without an allocation. Trump's not going to allocate. Yeah, I don't know what happens if he gets convicted. But I would not be surprised within a year if there's some resolution on this issue. Even faster than that. We'll see. Trump's lawyers are going to ask for discovery, push for discovery, get everything. Trump's lawyers are going to try to find a flaw. Trump's attorneys are going to be able to get access to the underlying material for the search warrant. Try to attack the search warrant. Try to attack the grand jury. Try to attack the formation of the grand jury. Try to attack the grand jury's process. Try to attack the grand jury's fairness. Political malfeasance, prosecutorial misconduct. Nothing's going to work. An Alfred plea? Sure. But I don't know why you would Alfred plea to everything. I mean, that sounds like a bad deal. Yeah, I think it's time for some rest. I think you're right. I bought myself a toaster oven on Amazon. It was a nice one. So I'm looking forward to that arriving on Thursday. I went to my thrift store and took a look at the offerings, and I'm like, I should buy new. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to making steak with my new toaster oven on Thursday. That'll be exciting. I'm also getting a new frying pan tomorrow, which is also exciting. What's my field? Well, my primary field is intellectual property. That was my job, was intellectual property, specifically patent law. But constitutional law has always been a really, really strong interest of mine. So I'm very, very strong in constitutional law, as most people in LawTube will admit. I think most people in LawTube admit that I'm the best on constitutional law, which makes me very, very happy. So it makes me very happy. My peers have continuously recognized me as the best on constitutional law analysis. So, that's nice. Well, a toaster oven is an air fryer. An air fryer, all it is a toaster oven, basically. Just a different form. So a toaster oven will be better than an air fryer. Yeah. No, I still have the same knife set I did before. The Miracle Blades are doing fine. Yes, I believe the president can pardon himself. Yes. That's my opinion. Yeah. It's a plenary power. It's absolute unchecked power. Yeah. Air fryer is a convection oven. Yeah, that's right. Mini convection oven. Yeah, you're right. Fair enough. I think I got, what did I actually get from Amazon? Let me see. I can put it in chat when I actually got, or I'll just put it up. I got a Cuisinart convection toaster oven. Ooh, exciting. I know. Hold on. Got a Cuisinart convection toaster oven, stainless steel. Nice looking one. Nice. It comes with a ceramic pizza stone, so you can make pizzas in it. That's pretty badass. Make 13-inch pizzas in that. That's pretty good. It has pre-made settings: toast, bagel, waffle, bake, broil, roast, pizza, sandwich. Nice stuff, right? And 217, which is the current price, is the lowest price in a year. I checked before buying it. It was the lowest price in the last year. It was top rated by Wirecutter, who I like their reviews. 15 cooking convections, dual cook speed convection, 1800 watts of power, dual cook, sandwich speed, convection, pizza, bake, broil, toast, waffle, bagel, leftover, keep warm, fits a 13-inch pizza, 9 by 13-inch baking pan, and 9 slices of bread. Digital Coast convection oven, however, has a large blue blacklist display with door sensor to activate and non-stick interior. The exact heat sensor maintains precise temperature, always even toast shade control, and convenient auto slide rack for convenience. I wonder if I can set it low enough that I can basically soy vide in it. That'd be kick-ass. If I can set this thing low enough that I can basically cook a steak in this at like 150 degrees or whatever it is, that'd be badass. I wonder if I can do that. Can I basically sous vide this thing in a convection oven? Because that'd be cool. I'll do that. And then I'll reverse sear the shit out of it. It'll be great. $15 settings. 9 pieces of toast. Do you need 9 pieces of toast? Because that's apparently how much toast you're getting. Yeah, you can fit it. It comes with a pizza stone. Put a pizza right on it. 13-inch pizza. Roast a full-size chicken. Two oven racks. Baking drip pan. Crumb tray. Num 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 num. It was rated really well on Wirecutter. It's where I like to get a lot of my product recommendations from Wirecutter. They're owned by the New York Times now, but I found their reviews to be pretty good. And so I just went to Wirecutter best toaster ovens. You know, and then they said, okay, so our pick is this Panasonic one for the best small one. Our pick is this one for larger one, Cuisinart. And that's the one I went with. This larger one. And then they have this upgrade pick, which is $400 for Breville, which seemed a little much. So I went with the $200 option from Amazon for the large size upgrade. And they have a $400 one, but seemed a little much for my needs. So we'll see. We'll see. Apparently, the Breville one will also do dehydration. So if you want to make jerky, but apparently this like model is like 5 years old or something, and they still think it kicks ass. So I went with that. It was their top pick in their very first air fryer guide. Um, I think we'll do fine. So $217, which was the best price in a year. And it will make toast. Might have to start making pizzas at home. I can make my own dough and shit. It'd be awesome. So we'll see how that's going to go. And if I can set the temperature low enough in there, I'll just put the thing in there at temperature for medium rare, sous vide it, and then finish it off on a sear. It'd be fantastic. Well, I know, yes, to vacuum seal. I know to sous vide, technically, yes, you need to vacuum seal it and put it in water. Yes, I understand. I'm talking about the equivalent of that in a toaster oven. It's like if I can set the temperature of the ambient temperature low enough, right? So it's the same temperature as what I want to cook the steak and effectively do the same process in a toaster oven. So I don't know if that has a name, but I'm calling it sous vide because I don't know what else to call it. So yes, I'm sous videing except for the water and the plastic bag and the immersion part. So I'm sous videing except for literally every possible step. But that's why I'm calling it, because I don't know what else to call it. Well, thank you. That's very good, Mr. James in Bloggington. It's called cooking. Okay. Um, Fine. Be a spoil sport that way. All right. I'm going to sign off. I'll be on tomorrow, I think, with a legal news roundup. Probably 9:15, I'd imagine. And we'll probably record a little bit more than we would normally so that I have some nice stuff in reserve so that I make sure to, because I'd like to put out at least one edited story every day, even on days when I'm doing travel. So I need to, record stuff so I can put stuff out every day. So I'd like to put out at least one edited story every day, like at 7 o'clock. I put out one today. It didn't do as well as I'd hoped, which is disappointing, but whatever. So we'll get on tomorrow and we'll do a legal news roundup and go through a couple days worth of content maybe so that I can edit it and put together so I can have stuff, so I can record, because I need to get ideally like 7 edited stories out of it would be nice. So I'm not sure if that's possible. Well, we'll see what we can do. So we'll be on tomorrow, probably 9:15. Start a little later, an hour later, so I can get my beauty sleep. All right, I'm going to sign off for now. I've been Uncivil Law. Until later, my friends, I hope all is well. Cheers, my friends, and goodbye.